All right, well, enough with the coddling of the DEI, multiculturalism, all the junk that the left stands for. What we've allowed to happen over the years is a total remaking of our society with people who don't like us, and all we need to do is look at what other countries see that our future could look like, what's happening there. In Europe, open-air Christmas markets are being treated as high-risk targets. French officials have canceled an annual New Year's Eve celebration in Paris over the threat of migrant violence. And in Australia, one of the suspects accused of gunning down people at a Hanukkah celebration investigated in 2019 for links to an ISIS cell. He was never arrested. Leading up to the attack, the father-son terror duo traveled to the Philippines, where ISIS militants are known to operate.
It would appear that there is evidence that this was inspired by a terrorist organisation, by ISIS. Now, some of the evidence which has been procured, including the presence of Islamic State flags in the vehicle that has been seized, radical perversion of Islam is absolutely a problem. ISIS is created by an evil ideology that has been called out, not just by the Australian government, but globally as well.
This should serve as a warning to our country. What happened in Australia could easily happen here, especially if we continue to be lax about who we let into the country.
Fox News alert, the manhunt's still underway for the shooter who killed two at Brown University Saturday, one being the vice president of the college Republicans. It's been 4 days, and no one knows who the shooter is, where he is, or what his face looks like. The clueless locals in Providence have no idea.
At this point, we're still just looking at the picture. We haven't identified ages or anything to that point. And as far as whether he's a problem student or anything, we don't have any of those answers, no.
They just held another press conference, and now it seems like either the killer was lucky, Providence is incompetent, or someone's hiding something. This guy could be overseas or could be 5 doors down the street. Nobody knows. The police chief doesn't even know where the security cameras are.
So the video that we showed you came from inside the building, and that's all we had at the moment. That was all we have at this moment. Correct.
Inside the engineering building, though?
I'm sorry?
It's from the outside of the building.
From the
I'm
outside,
sorry?
so do you have video from
Yes.
inside the engineering building?
Both inside and outside. I'm sorry, just outside. That's all we have, not inside, no. I'm sorry, just outside.
Are they going to be released anytime soon unless from inside the building?
That was released already. That was the outside of the building. We released that.
Yeah, let me just jump here and clarify.
This chief's in over his head. He can't communicate well, or he doesn't know what's going on. Either way, he shouldn't be running point at the press conference. There are over 800 cameras on Brown's campus, and all we see is a light-skinned fat guy with a mask. The Attorney General says the shooter's like Houdini.
So the video that we showed you came from inside the building, and that's all we had at the moment. That was all we have at this moment. Correct.
Inside the engineering building, though?
I'm sorry?
It's from the outside of the building.
From the
I'm sorry?
outside, so do you have video from
Yes.
inside the engineering building?
Both inside and outside. I'm sorry, just outside. That's all we have, not inside, no. I'm sorry, just outside.
Are they going to be released anytime soon unless from inside the building?
That was released already. That was the outside of the building. We released that.
Yeah, let me just.
Yeah, we played that already. We apologize. He's saying Brown put cameras on the front door, not the back door. And the shooter went in through the back door. Got it? And get this. There's a map on the internet of where all the cameras are on campus. So anyone can go online and see where the cameras are and know how to get in and out unseen. Or the shooter knew where the blind spots were because he's a student. Or the killer cut every break he could. And some of the cameras could have been broken. No one has any idea.
Why isn't there more video or metadata? And were those cameras all operational?
Yeah, I can't speak to what was operational or wasn't.
You need to swipe your ID to enter buildings on campus. Did the shooter follow someone in, or did he swipe an ID? Brown would have that information if there was a swipe or not, but they won't talk about it. The FBI released 6 minutes of new video today. Moments before the shooting, this guy's in all black and a face mask casing the area, but they won't tell us what he was looking for.
If he's casing that area, Colonel, like you said, he had an intended target, which speaks to the motive. Did he have a target to kill one of the two people that were killed?
We're still investigating the day, and it's something that we're trying to get the answers as well.
One criminal profiler told Fox that the killer was familiar with the area, enraged, and was very comfortable with a semi-automatic, and that the college was a soft target. Was the school the target? Was the building a target? Or was it a specific individual? They won't even tell us what he yelled before he opened fire.
Have detectives been able to interview, and have they elaborated on anything that this man said? Allegedly, he yelled something in the classroom before opening fire.
We have re-interviewed several people, and so I just want to tell you that's part of the investigation right now.
4 days later, how do you not know what the guy yelled, or if he yelled anything? Dozens of witnesses were there. We've only actually heard from one eyewitness.
I was standing in the front, so as soon as he walked in, he immediately saw me and I immediately saw him. And then I look to my right and I see a bunch of students running down the stairs, running out the door, jumping on the ground, just whatever it takes to stay alive. When I saw him, I saw a gun. I genuinely thought, like, okay, this is the end of the road for me.
How soon did he start shooting after he entered the room?
He just started shooting right away. There was no hesitation.
So if the shooter came face to face with that guy, looked him dead in the eye, why didn't he shoot him? Why did he shoot somebody else? That makes me think this could have been a targeted attack on a specific individual. One of the girls who died was a prominent Republican on campus. Was she the target?
Do you have any evidence that suggests that the victim, Ella Cook, may have been targeted?
No, not at this point.
We're hearing reports she sustained multiple gunshot wounds. Dana spoke to Ella Cook's friend earlier. Watch.
I knew she was taking Principles of Economics, which the class is held in Barretts and Hawley, and her location hadn't moved. And we were all just hoping that that she had dropped her phone running out, and that's why we couldn't get a hold of her. Ella was the type of person that, regardless of if you've never met her before, she was just such a bright light.
Now, if the shooter was targeting a specific individual, he would have had to have intimate knowledge of the study session. This was a finals prep session on the weekend. If this guy was a traditional school shooter, whose goal it was to kill as many people as possible, why would he go in on a weekend? Why wouldn't he just spray the quad Monday at noon? Most school shooters are going for as many people as possible. They usually kill themselves or surrender. It's like he had a mission, go in and out like an assassin. And every kid has a camera on their phone. Not a single student recorded anything in that auditorium. The police don't even know who the eyewitnesses were. Brown is asking students, if you were there that night, can you call the cops? They also waited until this morning to start knocking on doors in the vicinity, asking residents if they had Ring camera footage. And how'd the guy escape on foot? He had to have gotten into a vehicle. This summer, Providence installed speed cameras all over town. They don't have any footage of a guy that matches the description driving around at 4:15 Saturday afternoon. The police chief is asking people if they own a Tesla with a camera in it that was parked in the neighborhood to please come forward. Look at the suspect here. Where's the gun? Did he ditch it? Is it on him? It's supposed to be a 9mm rifle. Now, usually a 9mm, you think of a handgun, but they say it's a long gun. We didn't see a long gun on the suspect before the shooting. In some of the images, he's rocking a satchel. I mean, that's all we know, that it was just that one weapon that was mentioned the other day. So we don't know who he is, where he is, if he's a student, if he's foreign, if he was targeting the school or an individual, how the gun got there, where it is now, what he yelled, if it was terrorism or a hit. But Mayor Smiley says, don't worry, you're safe.
And just another follow, the image today of the person of interest, they have a satchel. Is it known if there were additional weapons in there or magazines of some kind?
No, that's all we know, that it was just that one weapon that I mentioned the other day.
Do they feel safe? Well, we just asked Johnny to go find out.
We have not received, and this is now updated with another 24 hours have passed, a single, credible, specific threat to the area, to the city related to this event, and as far as I know, to the state.
Our apologies again. Here is Johnny asking people at Brown and in the vicinity if they feel safe.
Do you feel safe here?
Not really. Hey, as safe as I'm gonna be, man. You know, hey, I ain't worrying about it.
Right now, no. No, the guy's still out there. Woman, guy, whatever it is. He's out there. Well, the mayor says you can go out, you should feel perfectly fine.
Yeah, okay. That's his thought of mine.
He said, go get a pizza.
Yeah, please. Man, the mayor's tripping, man.
Yeah, I strongly disagree with that. There's still a very, very active threat going on.
Mayor, he has no clue, man. I mean, when they told him, oh, we got the guy, he went right along with it. They didn't verify it. Then the next day they said, we don't have the guy. Then they arrested another guy and he said, okay, we got the guy. Then he got to come out and say, no, we don't have the guy. So I think that, I think right now, man, our leadership is in above their head. It's like, wow, Rhode Island was never like this.
So a deadly gunman's armed and dangerous and at large. The police have no leads, no facial recognition, no motive, no DNA, and no eyewitness to give us any clues. After the shooting, alerts went out late. Sirens didn't go off, and the gunman got away. And the university president, Christina Paxson, said the system worked.
Do you believe that Brown had the precautions and safety measures in place before the shooting that were appropriate and necessary?
I do.
Really? Brown just settled with the Trump administration over anti-Semitism and DEI. Brown's been a hotbed for pro-Palestinian activism. They admit thousands of international students. Did Brown have any intelligence warning them that this could have happened? And how didn't campus safety respond in time to apprehend the suspect? It's not a big campus. Because leadership in Providence has been so pathetic in the last few days, citizen journalists are asking questions. They've noticed Brown's web pages go down. Does the president of the university know anything about this?
Since the shooting, I believe some web pages for students or faculty have been taken down. Is that a response to any external threats to anyone in the community?
I know nothing about web pages being taken down as part of this. It's the first I've heard of it.
So after the press conference, the school admitted they were taking websites down because one of their students was getting doxxed. The attorney general was asked about it today. Go.
If that name meant anything to this investigation, we would be out looking for that person. We would let you know we were looking for that person. You know, again, I think it's just a really dangerous road to go down. It's just a dangerous thing to do. And I would leave it to us to identify persons of interest and let us run them down.
This is an incredibly mysterious case and incredibly frustrating because of the way it's been handled. The FBI does not have jurisdiction over this case. Rhode Island is running the show. So far, they're running it poorly, and we pray that changes.
And welcome to Hannity. We begin tonight with this Fox News alert. The manhunt for the Brown University shooter is now heating up, and are police now closing in on a suspect? And what, if anything, did the shooter shout before firing his weapon into a classroom full of students? We have a full report tonight straight ahead. Also, new details from the horrific double murder of Rob and Michelle Reiner. They were stabbed to death in their Hollywood home. Their adult son is now in custody, but was not medically cleared to appear in court. Now, psychotherapist Jonathan Alpert will weigh in. And stay tuned for Senator John Fetterman and Senator Ted Cruz. They will appear together for a joint bipartisan interview on the growing horrors of hatred and anti-Semitism and violence in the country. But we begin tonight in Providence, Rhode Island, where the Brown University shooter is still at large. As of right now, local and university police have given us very little information. And for the record, they are running lead on this investigation when, frankly, it really should be the FBI. Now, thankfully, the FBI has sent in investigators from all around the country. And as of now, this hour, we don't even have a picture of the assailant's face. Remember, this is a major university. They have an $8 billion endowment. What, they don't seem to have a functioning surveillance system? How is it possible in this day and age with advancements in AI security cameras that are very affordable for many homeowners around the country that have facial recognition abilities and the ability to track movement of anybody at any time and record every inch of that campus 24/7. There is zero excuse for that. We will examine that in detail because that is a major security failure. But at the rich Ivy League, elite Brown University, that's all we have to go with. Grainy footage shot from far away, from the targeted on-campus building. How's that possible? Meanwhile, authorities won't even tell us what the assailant may or may not have said. While storming into that classroom, according to some reports, he shouted something before opening fire. Thankfully, I can report tonight the FBI has stepped in a major way. They are now assisting in the location of the suspect, and given the recent track record of the FBI under the helm of Kash Patel, I imagine we will soon have more answers in spite of regular media smears against him. Just as some perspective, take a look at your screen. This is a bureau now dedicated to solving crime, protecting American citizens without a political agenda. Now, keep in mind, this is how long it took to find major high-profile criminals. For example, the Boston Marathon bomber, 5 days. United CEO killer, 5 days. Charlie Kirk's assassin, in that case, it was 33 hours. It took years to get the Unabomber. But tonight, we still have more questions than answers from this awful attack at Brown University. Here now, she's in Providence tonight with a full report, our very own C.B. Cotton. C.B., I know the area well. I did a lot of work when I was in construction on Benefit Street, right across the street.
Well, Sean, you hit a lot right there off the top. I can tell you there are some new visuals, but as you mentioned, none show the face of this person of interest. Still, we are learning that investigators now believe he was casing out this neighborhood next to Brown as early as 10:30 a.m. the morning of the shooting. Take a look at this. Providence police are calling this new enhanced video of the person of interest. He's described as someone 5'8" with a stocky build. He's got a dark green and black jacket, and he's wearing a mask. So again, we can't get that clear view of his face, but officials are still hoping that someone will recognize his gait. And the Rhode Island Attorney General says that's going to be key to making an arrest.
What's really critical first is that we identify who the person is. Once we identify who this person is, I believe we'll be able to locate him. It's very hard to hide in this country.
Today, the FBI also shared a video timeline of the suspected shooter moving through the neighborhood. The earliest video shared with us is time-stamped around 2 p.m. Eastern. Most of the home surveillance videos show the man walking leisurely through the neighborhood, but there are a few clips where he runs or walks, including in the video that's time-stamped around 4 p.m. once the shooting was over and police start to arrive. People are asking, why isn't there more video? Well, this map of the scene shows the crime happened on the edge of campus, giving the shooter potentially a clear path to dodge most of the campus surveillance cameras. But Sean, whether those cameras would have helped is not really clear because a new report says that Brown's cameras were not linked to a center that Providence, Rhode Island police has that allows them to monitor crime in real time. And you mentioned the talk about whether the shooter yelled something as he walked into the classroom. Well, it appears local officials are trying to put the rumor mill at rest, telling us today that as of right now, they don't know a motive. They have no clear motive in this case. So a lot of more unanswered questions, and we're digging for details. Back to you.
All right, C.B. Cotton, that's actually a very disturbing report. In this day and age, very inexpensive, the highest quality AI security cameras are readily available with facial recognition and the ability to enhance any image that is recorded 24/7. I would imagine every inch of that campus should be covered, and the perimeter of that campus should be covered. Apparently not, and I think they have a lot of explaining to do. CB, thank you. All right, this brings us to another attack from over the weekend. Tonight, more harrowing stories about the brave men and women who were murdered during that horrific attack, the terrorist attack at that Hanukkah celebration in Australia, including one man who died while throwing bricks at the attackers. As one daughter of a wounded Holocaust survivor put it, anti-Semitism has been allowed to fester in Australia for a long time. Take a look.
This was not a surprise to the Jewish community. We warned the government of this many, many times over. We've had synagogues that have been graffitied, graffiti everywhere, and we've had synagogues that have been bombed. This is not a surprise to us. It's not the fact that those two people had a gun. It's the fact that those two people have been taught to hate, and it's the fact that hatred has been allowed to fester against the Jewish minority in Australia.
Now, sadly, she's right, but it is not just Australia. Ever since the slaughter of the Jewish people on October 7, 2023, radical leftists, radical Islamists teamed up to globalize the Intifada. Sound familiar? Now, remember, 2 days after October 7th, 2023, there was that massive protest. Look at how huge this crowd is. That's in Australia. They were chanting, "Gas the Jews, F the Jews," and more. Take a look. Where was the prime minister in that moment? Now, in the coming months and year, radicals have shouted their demands from the streets, demanding, quote, a free Palestine from the river to the sea, which means the obliteration of Israel. In other words, they have been openly calling on Islamists to wipe Jews off the face of the map in the Middle East and then take their anti-Semitism worldwide with a global fight against the Jewish people, not just the Jewish people. Death to Israel, death to America. This is sick. And it has almost certainly contributed to the ongoing rise of radical Islam in Germany. An Islamist plot to attack a Christmas market was just thwarted. In Poland, authorities there just stopped a would-be ISIS attack on another Christmas market. And now in the U.S., right here in this country, Jewish groups are being urged to step up their security while they are in the middle of celebrating Hanukkah. The FBI just foiled another terror plot from an anti-Semitic group that was planned for New Year's Eve. That was in Los Angeles. This is awful. And to make matters worse, in Australia, authorities, including their prime minister, they are downplaying the role of anti-Semitism and radical Islam in the most recent attacks while threatening, what, more gun control and openly worrying about far-right extremism. You can't make the same mistakes here. We have to be honest about the source that is radical Islamic terrorism and the rise of anti-Semitism. Halls of Congress, college campuses, worldwide. And frankly, we've got to stand up for liberty, freedom, and against radical terrorists, no matter who gets offended.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And be sure and say hello to the Salvation Army Santa on the way out. He answers to Geraldo.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. According to a new poll, nearly 70% of Minnesotans say Governor Walz needs to do more to stop fraud. In response, he is now requiring men to show 2 forms of ID when buying tampons. Kamala Harris is reportedly preparing for a 2028 presidential campaign, despite donors and party leaders' concerns. But like her husband with a nanny, she refuses to pull out. Wow. Earlier today, in fact, she was seen putting a down payment on a campaign bus. Nancy Pelosi says she still hasn't talked to Joe Biden. Critics pounce, saying, how hard is it to order a Ouija board from Amazon? According to insiders, Joe Biden hasn't raised enough money for a legit presidential library, but he bragged if all goes well, they can afford a really kick-ass bookmobile. Interesting story. A family in Washington, D.C. says they've been getting dozens of Amazon packages intended for the nearby Arlo Hotel. The packages include cat food, vitamins, and a chainsaw, which answers the question, what's for lunch at the Arlo Hotel? It was worth it. President Trump just announced his plan to classify fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. He then did the same thing for Jerry Nadler's ass. A new study claims that marijuana doesn't decrease pain or anxiety. because participants in the study still couldn't get through 1 hour of Fox and Friends.
That is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Taylor Swift reportedly gave out bonuses totaling $197 million to everyone working on her tour. That is amazing. Who gives out bonuses? And finally, a woman's body was found inside a freezer at a dollar store. After being discovered, she was immediately put in the clearance section. All right, we're going to do a monologue. They didn't really love the jokes.
I think they did.
I wasn't asking you.
Oh, sorry.
So by now you've heard about Minnesota's Somali theft rings. Somehow a third world country hijacked the state without having to kidnap Tom Hanks. And these Somali pirates claim more booty than a meeting of the J-Lo fan club. Millions of taxpayer dollars meant for meal plans were stolen, some of which were funneled to the terror group Al-Shabaab. Although having seen Somali cuisine, maybe it's better they didn't spend it on food. It's one of the largest scams in U.S. history. But for years, Tim Walz ignored it in favor of supplying feminine hygiene products to students named Steve. Now he's issuing blame, but not to the fraudsters. It's Whitey's fault.
Do you want to hear more from members and leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. For every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that, I think it's crime in general.
No wonder that Minnesota State Burn is the loon. He suggests that white men don't hold other white men accountable. Well, he's right about one white guy, him. Under this fool, the whole state's become messier than a pair of Joe Biden's tidy whities after eating bad sushi. What a tool bag. Turns out Minnesota's AG, Keith Ellison, took donations from people later convicted in this fraud scheme. His son, a Minneapolis city councilman, got paid to do Harvard on a fellowship while pulling a six-figure paycheck from the city, and even asked taxpayers to cover his flights while missing half the city council meetings. Then, of course, there's Ilhan Omar, whose district was the epicenter of Somali fraud. Gee, I wonder if there's any connection between the first Somali in U.S. history to serve in Congress and the billions in fraud in her district, which is mainly made up of Somalis. So what's her story? She landed in the U.S. after fleeing civil war in Somalia. She says her dad was an educator, but he was also a colonel in the Somalian army under a dictator who committed war crimes. So yeah, she escaped the problem that her family helped create. That's like a flasher who comes here to escape frostbite. And the Washington Beacon, Free Beacon, reports that, yeah, she really did marry her brother. Possibly to skirt immigration laws and get her brother into the U.S. No wonder they served the wedding food family style. They tracked online marriage info to prove it, but when the Beacon reached out to her team, they were called bigots for even asking. Because for Dems like her, they rely on the ruse that accountability is racist. Every audit is a human rights violation, and every Wednesday is ladies' night. But you gotta ask, how come no Democrats are defending her? That's the dog not barking. No one's saying, hey, Ilhan Omar didn't marry her brother. I mean, if someone had said that about me, I'm pretty sure people would speak out on my behalf. At the very least, my brother. But you don't hear anything from the Dems about her, not even a request for proof of bunk beds. No. And they'll defend anything, including Sergeant a lot. So the question is why? What happened to Minnesota? It's a modest state full of hardworking people who love casseroles, Land O'Lakes butter, and women who throw their hat in the air. Oh, Mary. They didn't ask for a government that treats their tax money like baby oil at a Diddy party. So how did Minnesota become so corrupt? Well, here's the blueprint. They insulated protected communities that vote overwhelmingly Democrat, like the Somalis. And without oversight, the buffer enables all this corruption. Minnesota wasn't some tragic accident. It's a scandal unfolding in plain sight. And until the state holds everyone accountable, including their leaders, Minnesotans will still be the land of 10,000 lakes, but the taxpayers will be the ones getting soaked.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.